set of the Riddlers books, fun stories to help your child learn to read, are now available at most newsagents and bookshops.
Buster, stop the record.
ITV tonight, there'll be Barclays League action as well. United have almost done it. Goodbye for now.
They're coming forward as Pitt. Little back pass there. Chance now. And a goal! For Legia Warsaw. And now let's see if Sharp can do something about redeeming this situation. Everybody in there, Webb's in there, McClare's in there!
That's exactly what we needed. That is brilliant. It's a big
exactly the response Manchester United wanted. Good challenge there by Donachie. Hughes. Flagger stayed down. Hughes, a little dummy by him. Oh, fabulous goal! Mark Hughes. Irwin. Hughes on a rapid turn there. Gets the little cross in. It's not away yet by any means. McClare's in there. Bruce is in there! It's another one! It's Steve Bruce.
New Zealand now with a test of character.
The world's best.
10 metres out from the goal line.
Only on ITV, the big one, this October.
C'est magnifique.
The first petrol to gain the AA seal of approval for its performance has also won the approval of millions of motorists for its quality gifts. Esso, a special kind of animal.
George Foreman has a dream. After 10 years of retirement, he wants the World Heavyweight Championship. Subscribe now to Sky Movies Plus for only $9.99 per month and see if George can realize his dream. And meet Bart Simpson, every father's nightmare, only on Sky One.
Prepare to be dazzled.
Contact your local dealer now for special offers on Sky equipment and installation. You can receive 5 Sky channels and enjoy a whole new world of television.
Wow, man.
You better watch your mouth, because drinking, smoking and eating rich food can make your breath pong. So always carry Clarettes, breath fresheners with Actisol to help neutralise nasty nips. And as for tasting nice,
they do run.
Run. They do run.
Run.
So don't let us catch you without them.
If you want to stay a pretty boy.
Yeah.
Clarettes, the breath freshener with Actisol in mints and gum.
Give us a kiss then.
Hello. May I ask you a few questions? When was I born? Where will I go to school? Where will I work? How will I get there? What kind of house will I live in?
On April the 21st, we'll be asking you, in strict confidence, to give us the facts that enable us to plan for the future. The census. It counts because you count.
Will I have children? When will they be born?
The latest Black & Decker hammer drill is a little different. It's got a powerful double-level hammer action. 2-speed gearbox and variable speed for screwdriving. But the real difference is it's cordless. The cordless drill with hammer action from Black & Decker.
If you could see that an oil has to work from 0 to 800 degrees centigrade in the time it takes an engine to fire up, if you could see that an oil has to protect metal from metal at pressures equivalent to a large bomb explosion, if only you could see what an oil has to go through. If you were an engine, you couldn't choose a better oil. Duckham's Hypergrade.
Oh, you're up early, darling.
You can't beat the Canary Islands for colour, scenery and sunshine. But with air tours, the real beauty is the price. With superb holidays available from only £229. Get the full picture. Pick up a brochure from your APTA travel agent now.
Home and Away is coming up now at about 40 minutes past 6. That's followed by our local central news at 6:38. But first, the national and international news.
America warns Iraq, keep your military away from the refugees. Fighting for life, the month-old refugee from the Kurdish mountains. 6 fishermen drowned after channel collision. And the victim, his son, said, "A bad man shot my daddy." Good evening. In the last half hour, America has warned Iraq to stop all military action near areas where refugees have fled the civil war. And they've told Iraq to keep all warplanes and helicopter gunships below the 36th parallel, setting up an exclusion zone which takes in most of Kurdish northern Iraq. ITN's Michael Nicholson has visited a Turkish hospital treating Kurds. Viewers may find some scenes distressing.
A week ago they were dealing with maternity cases, chicken pox and measles here. Now suddenly it has become a field hospital dealing with the casualties of Saddam Hussein's war. The Turks have allowed them to bring their sick and wounded down from their mountain refugee camps, and as one hospital overflows, they are passed on to the next. This one at Hakkari is 30 miles from the border, but it has already admitted 80 wounded since Monday. This little girl had her arm shattered by shell splinters. Doctors are still deciding whether to amputate. This little boy has lost much of his hand, again by shrapnel. It is gangrenous and he might lose it. This baby is only 28 days old. She was found in the snow beside her dead mother. She has septicemia, blood poisoning, and her life too is also in the balance. The very old are suffering from exhaustion and exposure. None of them had expected to walk so far to safety. None had expected to live in such misery now. Many, like this old lady, have lost their families somewhere in the mountains. She is quite alone. Doctors and nurses working round the clock, beds already full, medicines already running short. Yet still the ever-increasing flow of the sick and the wounded from off the mountains. And the one question they all ask is, where is the help? Where is the aid? This is Michael Nicholson at Huracan Hospital on the Turkish-Iraq border.
Iraq has called on the Kurdish refugees to return home. It's sending food and medical teams to the north of the country. British, French and American planes have dropped around 40 tons of relief supplies to the refugees.
Bad weather this morning again threatened the RAF relief mission, but today the clouds parted in the right place at the right time. Loaded in the back of 3 British Hercules transports, enough rations to feed 10,000 Kurds for a day, the RAF said, together with blankets and sleeping bags. Then suddenly the sight they'd been waiting for, thousands of Kurdish refugees spread across a hillside below. The rear doors opened over northern Iraq, and army dispatchers got the green light to push out their loads. As the parachutes floated away, the aircrew watched anxiously. Dropping the load too close to the camp risked injuring the people they were trying to help. Too far, and the Kurds might not be able to reach the supplies. Then it was back to Incirlik Air Base to celebrate. As the Hercules taxied in, other hitherto unseen players returned, fighters and electronic warfare planes, which the Americans provide to protect the international relief effort. This afternoon, the mission continued with the flight of American transports. The RAF will go again tomorrow. Jeffrey Archer, ITN, with the RAF over the Iraqi-Turkish border.
Here, in the last few minutes, government sources have indicated there's to be a big stepping up of the diplomatic effort over the plight of the Kurds. Mr. Major has been in contact with Presidents Bush and Gorbachev and Chinese leaders. Michael Brunson is live at Westminster with the latest details.
Yes, Fiona, the first point to make is because of the problems that you saw there in Geoffrey Archer's report, the government is going to send out 3 Chinook helicopters. They're the big helicopters which, instead of having to drop stuff, will be able to get in and land. That's partly because the Prime Minister wants a much greater sense of urgency in all this. Hence the messages to Mr. Gorbachev, to Perez de Cuellar, to President Bush, and to the Chinese. The idea is that we want to start bringing people off down the mountains, taking them across the border into Iraq. To do that, of course, you need, as it were, international backing. You need the support of the UN to be able to cross the border, as it were, just because we say those refugees have got to go in there. And so all the effort now is going into getting the UN to back that idea and to back it very quickly, if possible, tonight.
6 fishermen have drowned in the English Channel after their trawler collided with a Cypriot cargo ship. The accident happened 20 miles off Newhaven.
Throughout the morning, the search went on in the area where the Wilhelmina J went down. Fishing vessels were among the first on the scene. They were joined by 2 lifeboats, one of which spotted an oil slick on the surface and wreckage from the missing boat. HMS Norfolk, which was exercising in the area, also joined in, and the Coast Guard search and rescue helicopter was able to use her decks to refuel during its 5 hours at the scene. The collision happened in thick fog at about 3 o'clock in the morning, but the Cypriot registered cargo ship didn't report the incident for a further 2 hours when they found the Wilhelmina's radio mast on their bows. Coast Guard say they offered no explanation for the delay.
He was unable or did not give any reason for that delay at that time, and this delay, of course, will be investigated by the Marine Accident Investigation Branch.
The Wilhelmina J was based at Portsmouth Harbour. Her owners say another fishing vessel has now located what it believes to be the wreckage of the sunken boat in 150 feet of water. It's thought divers could be sent down tomorrow. The Department of Transport's Marine Accident Investigation Branch has already started its inquiry, but they won't be able to interview the most important witness, the captain of the Cypriot registered ship, until his ship docks at its next port of call, Port Said in Egypt, in 11 days' time. Harry Smith, ITN, Portsmouth.
The IRA says it shot dead a father of 4 in front of his children. Gunmen burst into his home near Coke in County Tyrone. The victim, Derek Ferguson, was the cousin of a Unionist MP. His 7-year-old son raised the alarm by phone. He said, "A bad man has shot my daddy dead."
The victim's 4 young children were in the caravan when the gunmen smashed the windows and began firing. 2 of the children, aged 6 and 7, had been sitting with their father watching television when he was hit by a number of shots. It's thought he died instantly. The dead man, Derek Ferguson, who was 30 years old, was a cousin of Mid-Ulster MP, the Reverend William McRae, a member of Ian Paisley's Democratic Unionist Party. Mr. Ferguson and his family had been living in the mobile home while building a new house alongside it. The security forces were alerted after Mr. Ferguson's 7-year-old son telephoned his grandmother saying, "A bad man has come and shot my daddy." With inter-party talks on the future of Northern Ireland due to begin this month, an increase in both Republican and Loyalist violence had been expected.
Labour says its replacement for the poll tax will cut another £140 off household bills. That's on top of the reduction already made in the budget. The Tories' Chris Patten said he was gobsmacked by the plan. The announcement came as all 3 parties launched their campaigns for next month's local elections.
It's long been a Conservative charge that Labour hadn't costed their fair rates proposal. Today they did, claiming the plan would knock £140 off the average household bill, a saving of £75 per person. That's on top of the £140 reduction the Chancellor's already announced. So how would Labour raise enough money to pay for local government?
Save large sums of money because our system is simpler and cheaper to administer, and it's more difficult to avoid and less unpopular, so that more people actually pay what's due from them.
Though Labour admitted some better-off households would pay more, the Conservatives described their figures as bogus. But the government are having to fend off Labour's accusation of dithering, with some difficulty since details of their replacement for the poll tax won't be announced until the week after next.
It will be, I believe, a popular announcement because the proposals in it will be seen to be fair.
And will the government state its preferences?
Well, there will be many issues within the document, and there will be many indications of preferred options.
The Liberal Democrats will give a full regional breakdown of their figures for a local income tax next week. But they say the overall sum will be an extra 4p income tax in the pound.
I think that the public will not be confused by a grubby Dutch auction of people undercutting each other's figures. I think they're going to look at which figures make more sense, which system makes more sense. And the hard fact about local income tax, which is what we propose, is that this works.
With the poll tax dominating the local elections campaign, Labour will seek to exploit the government's delay in announcing its plans. The Conservatives, for their part, will focus on the high spending habits of Labour councils. Jackie Ashley, ITN, Westminster.
And that's the ITN news so far today. Have a good evening.
Hello, good evening. Well, today turned out to be another lovely spring day for most of us, but we don't expect things to shape up quite as nicely tomorrow, being altogether cloudier and wetter. Now this, of course, is all a matter of definition, because after all, we really do desperately need that rain. The water levels are particularly low, especially in the southeast. Unfortunately, the one area not to see any rain tomorrow. Straight away, let's zoom in on the way we expect that rain to work out. And it's a case of a brief respite for the far north tonight, and I do mean brief. Further south, there'll be scattered showers along the coasts. Then, the other lot of rain moves in tomorrow from the Irish Sea, depositing a sprinkling of showers, particularly for the west. So straight away, let's focus on tomorrow in more detail. And it's a dreary start to the day for Northern Ireland and Scotland, with cloudy, leaden skies and some fairly sharp bursts of rain as well. But then, as the day wears on, things do get brighter over Scotland itself, although there will be a sprinkling of showers around, especially so in the north and in the west. So to move on to England and Wales, and altogether a cloudier picture than today, as you can see. There will be some rain around, some hit and miss showers, more so for the west. In fact, the southeast hangs on to the dry weather, the remnants of today's spring weather. As for temperatures, well, we're still faring very well indeed, still very mild. A high of 16, for instance, in London, more typically around about the 13 to 14 mark, perhaps a degree or so cooler the further north we go. But we do have to point out these winds particularly strong for the far northwest, in fact over exposed parts of the northwest. And that's the way we expect the weather to go. Join me if you can after news at 10 tonight.
On Central News tonight, Poison Beauty, the acid rain that's killing off a countryside favourite. The scientists say plants and wildlife are dying and soon it'll be too late to reverse the damage.
The return of the Moggy. Sri Lankans say they want to build a new version of the Morris Minor. Local firms repairing the vintage vehicles fear they could be put out of business.
And outlaw or revolutionary, the two-faced cricket bat they want to ban. Those stories and more in Central News tonight at 6:40.
The teams, the action, the very best in knockout entertainment. When it's sport, when it's special, watch Central. Watch Central Sports Special. And your Wednesday action is no exception at 10:45. So be ready for a great night of sport. Central Sports Special on Central.
Now on Central, a little later than advertised because of the soccer coverage, our second visit of the day, home and away.